The next time he wakes up, it's with Hyunjin's arm still around him and a pounding ache in his head. And now it's his turn to deal with the hard-on. It's normal, it's morning wood, nothing to be alarmed about. However, when the previous night's happenings come crashing down on him, he turns around and pulls a sleeping Hyunjin into his arms, hugging him tightly, trying to ride out the feeling of falling freely. Hyunjin wakes up quite immediately, of course he does, and he hums a bit in confusion before he understands where he is and what's going on. "Taehyung, you okay no?" Taehyung whispers, and a sob slips out of his mouth. "I'm sorry, it'll be okay, just breath," Hyunjin soothes, and Taehyung honestly wonders what Hyunjin's profession is. Is he a therapist? It sure feels like it. He feels so safe. The only safe thing in Taehyung's life right now. Taehyung can't help himself. What he firmly refrains from thinking about, which is a recurring thought that he constantly has to forcefully push out of his head, is what Jungkook was doing in their apartment that morning after he'd broken up with Taehyung. 40 people are gathering in the rather small reception area of the hotel. It's a gorgeous hotel, consisting of 3 smaller, 2-story buildings with around 20 rooms and suites in each. There are also a few bungalows right on the beach, and Taehyung is honestly not surprised when he picks up his key and realizes that he's gotten one of those. To his right he hears that Seojin gets a bungalow as well, and Taehyung thinks it's probably not a too far-fetched guess that the same goes for Jungkook and Jimin. It's not until Taehyung and Seojin stroll down the short path through the hotel complex to the bungalows that they realize that Yoongi comes running behind them, shouting for them to hold up and wait for him. The whole gang, Jin smiles at Yoongi and dangles meaningly with his key up in the air. Yoongi grins and nods. He looks so goddamn happy. His whole being is sort of glowing and his eyes are sparkling, and when he catches up with them, he immediately wedges in between them, throwing his arms around their shoulders. His good mood is contagious, and Taehyung likes that. "Of course," he smiles. "The 5 of us and 1 or 2 intruders," he laughs with an excessive wink, jolting his head to no one in particular behind them, adding, "Carter's in mine obviously, and Justin's in Jungkook's. But except for that, it's almost as good old times." Yoongi means well, he really does, but Taehyung can feel Seojin throwing him a quick glance in quiet understanding, and then he also feels his considerate touch on his arm, just to tell him that he's there and it'll all be fine. Because this is so far from the good old times it can be. In the good old times Taehyung and Jungkook was happily, madly in love, and Taehyung can't help but thinking about how absolutely amazing it always had been to be on holiday with him. Was it together with other friends as well, or only the 2 of them? It was always a blast. They always were so compatible, wanted the same things, whether it was going on crazy excursions or staying in bed for 2 whole days in a row. The bungalows are amazing, right on the beach with a cute little porch, framed by palm trees and a beautiful view of the ocean. Taehyung apparently has been assigned to the first bungalow in line. Seojin stops at the one next to his, and Yoongi at the third. Jimin's come running down the path just as Taehyung opens his door and he sees that he stops at the one next to Yoongi, which leaves Jungkook and Justin in the one furthest away from Taehyung. But they are nowhere to be seen. It may be a coincidence or it may not. Judging by Yoongi's wink at him before he steps into his bungalow, Taehyung guesses that Yoongi just really wants to have some great few peaceful days with his friends, and make it as smooth for everyone as possible. Which includes keeping the gang together. but Taehyung and Jungkook in bungalows as far away from each other as possible. See you in a bit then, Seokjin says from where he stands on his porch, fiddling with the key. A drink at 7, before dinner, was it? Taehyung tries to remember the little program everyone was handed together with their key and nods. Yeah. I'll come and pick you up at 1:45, Taehyung replies and can finally close the door behind him and get some privacy. It's been mentally draining, meeting the boys, especially Jungkook, obviously, and no matter how fun it is to be all 5 of them in one place, he really needs to lie down for 5 minutes and just breathe. He looks around the small, cozy room and notes that the bed definitely is the centerpiece in the room. It's huge and it looks well comfy, and Taehyung loves it already. There are bedside tables, a cupboard, 2 armchairs with a table in between and a small fridge and freezer, probably stuffed with drinks, if Taehyung could have a guess. He goes to check out a door, expecting to find the bathroom, but is met with only a sink and toilet, which causes him to go back outside, and quite right, just around the corner of the bungalow, still on the porch, behind a rather modest foreclosure, is an outdoor shower. Well, since I'm here, he mumbles to himself and steps inside, thinking that he can as well do it now as later. The truth is that a shower is very tempting right now. It's hot and humid, even though it's 5 in the afternoon, and to crawl down between those alluring bed sheets will probably feel even better newly showered. Inside the small space, he finds a small table with fresh towels, so he strips down and turns on the shower and steps in under the soft jets with a deep, long sigh. Enjoying yourself, he hears a well-known voice, just outside the foreclosure, and he gasps and reflexively looks for the towel, until he realizes that he's safely shielded where he stands, and affords himself a small smile to himself, when answering, "You should try yourself sometime." He is rewarded with a short laugh. "Actually, I might. It's Yoongi's birthday after all." Taehyung thinks Jungkook's voice is even closer now and he hesitates, but then uncaps the shower gel and starts to soap up. "How's your bungalow?" Taehyung asks, mostly to have something to say, trying to make some friendly small talk, to keep the good atmosphere between them going. "It's nice. Probably just the same as yours. There was a cat sitting on the porch when I got there and we're friends now." It's Taehyung's turn to laugh, and he can hear that it draws a giggle out of Jungkook as well. So Jungkook continues, and Taehyung would be damned if he's wrong being under the impression that Jungkook's leaning at the other side of the shower foreclosure now, about a meter away. "You're here alone." Taehyung bites his lip, thinking that Jungkook is both rather forward but also brave, and it may be good to get it over with. Dancing around the subject has never been Taehyung's cup of tea, and thankfully Jungkook still seems to be of the same opinion. "I came here with Seokjin." Actually, it's a silly answer, but he's proud of the fact that he and Seokjin have become such good friends again, and he kind of wants to shove it in Jungkook's face, since he knows that it'll most probably make him slightly jealous. Childish, yes. Pleasing, yes. "You're not actually with Seokjin, are you?" "You're such an idiot cookie," Taehyung says, and it comes out a lot fonder than he intended for it to do. And, oh, there it is. The nickname, slipping out of his mouth as easy as ever. "Well, he's my boyfriend," he adds quickly, hoping he'd be quick enough to take Jungkook's attention off the slip, if he ever noticed in the first place. There's a smile in Jungkook's voice when replying, "Glad for you guys. I've missed him." Taehyung reaches for the shampoo and starts soaping up his hair, wondering if Jungkook's planning on staying outside his shower for long, or if he perhaps already has walked away, when he hears him mumble, "So, you're not with Yanjun anymore." Groaning internally, Tae puts his head under the water to rinse off the shampoo and hums a thinking sound, stalling the conversation slightly. Jungkook already knows the answer to his question. Why does he even ask? Tae made that very clear a month ago, when he made a complete fool out of himself, declaring that he wanted Jungkook back, not knowing that he was with Justin then. Did he? And he cringes at the memory. He wouldn't have done that if he still was with Yeonjun, now would he? No. We lasted a month. He decides to go all in, put the cards on the table and see where it gets them. Barely. It was obviously meant to end rather sooner than later, given the shitty way it all started. Not that he for the past month ever has thought that he can become friends with Jungkook again, but perhaps talking about things can take them a tiny step closer to not having to stay complete strangers to each other for the rest of their lives. Jungkook doesn't answer, but he's still there. He can hear him shift against the wood he's leaning at. There are still so many things I don't understand about all that though, Jungkook says instead, and Tae turns off the shower, reaching for the towel. Yeah, tell me about it. Tae mumbles a bit muffled under the towel, drying off his hair. Tae starts to dry his body and thinks that Jungkook probably bites his lower lip right now, perhaps circling a finger absent-mindedly against the shower closure. And he's used a nickname too. They're even. Yes, Cookie, he therefore says, in their playful jargon. Do you ever think about how it possibly could be good to get closure? For us, Tae wraps the towel around his and grabs his discarded clothes from the floor, before he resolutely steps out of the shower, taking Jungkook by surprise. What had he expected? That Tae would hide in there until Jungkook deigned to go and hang at his bungalow instead, perhaps? Jicha's Jungkook takes a step back but can't control his thorough once-over of Tae body. You scared me. He's so cute and funny when being this naive and somehow unspoiled. Tae chuckles lowly. Sorry if I scared you. He looks down at Jungkook standing in the sand, which is probably a meter lower than where he is, up on his porch. But this is my bungalow, after all. Jungkook blinks a couple of times and looks like he's lost for words. To answer your question, Tae continues. I'm not sure. I don't know if I found complete closure or not, but I sure am a lot better off now than I was a year ago, after you broke up with me. Jungkook cuffs and his eyes go big and round. After I what? Did you just say that I broke up with you? Are you kidding me right now? Jungkook's words make him confused. Sure, but it doesn't make him want, or even need, to have a talk-it-out session with Jungkook. That's water under the bridge. It may also be that he's a chicken and scared to death about having to relive any of the feelings he felt back then. It was black, it was chaos, it was goddamn hell. Time and his therapist and friends have helped him heal in a way he never thought would be possible when things were at its worst. We're here to have a good time and to celebrate Yoongi, Tae says, as if those words hold the answer to everything. For this trip I think we should focus on that, and not so much on us. Jungkook looks down and digs his bare feet into the sand. After a while he nods slowly. Although Tae can clearly see that he's not happy about it, that he's itching to continue to dig into the subject. Perhaps Tae has underestimated how badly Jungkook wants and needs answers to questions he may have carried on his shoulders this past year. In talks with his therapist, who's, by the way, primarily, he himself has managed to make peace with most of his questions and concerns, without getting actual answers. He would lie if he said there wasn't some itching and curiosity of his own, though. About a few things, rather. But he's not sure he's ready to open the lid. Then